The outer trade station of Orion Edge was quiet, in a way that felt wrong. Lights hummed softly, and long metal halls echoed with empty footsteps.
Ow.
Most beings slept during this cycle, only maintenance workers were awake. One of them was Evan. Evan was a human technician. He repaired cargo. Locks and power lines, he avoided trouble and never asked questions. Politics did not matter to him. Alien wars did not matter. He only wanted to finish his shift and go home. The station alarm suddenly wailed. Red lights flashed across the walls. A cold warning voice echoed through every corridor. Unauthorized council patrols detected. All civilians remain inside secured zones. Evan froze. Council patrols never came. Here this station was too small, too useless. When the council came, it meant one thing. Someone was being hunted heavy. Boots echoed in the distance. Alien voices, sharp and angry, filled the air. Evan felt fear tighten in his chest. He backed toward a service tunnel near an old cargo bay. That was when he saw her. She stumbled out of the shadows. Tall, thin, her armor cracked and burned dark blue blood. Stained her side, her breathing was slow and painful. Her face was hidden under a broken hood, but her eyes glowed softly like distant stars. She collapsed to her knees. Evan should have run. Every rule, every instinct screamed at him to leave. Instead, he stood. Still, she looked at him, not like a criminal, not like a victim, but like someone who had already lost. "Everything, please," she whispered. "Help me if they find me. The galaxy will burn." Evan swallowed hard. He could hear patrols getting closer. Metal claws scraped the floor. Scanners buzzed through walls. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. She struggled. "To stand someone they want erased." A patrol voice echoed nearby. "Split up search." Every level, Evan made a choice that would change his life. He grabbed her arm and pulled her into the service tunnel. The tunnel was narrow, dark, and filled with old cables he sealed. The door just as scanning beams swept the cargo bay. The alien woman leaned against the wall, shaking her. Strength was fading fast. Evan activated a small light now. He could see her clearly. The armor she wore was not common. Symbols carved into it were ancient royal. "You are council," he whispered. She nodded slowly. "Not just council." She said the council. Evan felt his heart pound. Helping a council member was death. Helping a hunted one was worse. "Why are they after you?" he asked. "Because I said no." "No to what?" "No to a war," she replied. "A war against your people." The tunnel shook as Boots passed overhead. A scanner paused outside the door. Evan held his breath. After a moment, the scanner moved on. The woman slid down to the floor. Her blood pooled beneath her. Evan knew she would not last long. He pulled out a basic medical kit. He was no doctor, but he had fixed worse than machines. He cut away damaged armor, sealed the wound as best he could. As he worked, he noticed a glowing mark on her chest, a symbol that pulsed softly. "What is that?" he asked her. The voice was weak, but clear authority. Evan frowned. She continued. "Long before fleets and weapons, the galaxy was ruled by law. Only one voice could bind all others." Evan slowly understood. "You are the binding voice." "Yes." Silence filled the tunnel above them. The patrols continued to search. They were close to close. "Why would they hunt you?" he asked. "Because if I live, their power is a lie." She closed her eyes. "They declared me dead, rewrote the council, prepared genocide." Evan felt anger rise inside. Humans had always been treated as small and weak now. He understood why a loud knock hit the tunnel door open. "This area council authority." The woman opened her eyes. Fear flashed across her face for the first time. "If they take me, they will kill you too." Evan stood up. His hands were shaking. He pressed the door. Control and opened it slightly to council. Soldiers stood outside, tall armored, their weapons glowing. "What are you doing here, human?" "One demanded routine maintenance," Evan replied, voice steady. Despite his fear, "We detected a life signal." "Only me," Evan said. "Want to scan thee." Soldier raised a scanner. It beeped once, twice, then stopped. The woman inside the tunnel pressed her glowing mark. The scanner died instantly. The soldiers cursed and moved on. The door closed. Evan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. She stared at him in shock. "You hid my signal temporarily," Evan said. "But they will be back." She nodded. "Then you must help me flee." "Flee?" Where? Evan asked. "Anywhere beyond council reach." He thought of his quiet life, his small room, his simple dreams. All of it was gone already. "I know a ship," he said. "Old, damaged. No one uses it." Her lips curved into a faint smile then. "Destiny has teeth," she whispered. Far above the station, deep within council space, an ancient system stirred a signal long believed extinct. Flickered back to life, the binding voice was alive. And the galaxy was about to kneel. The service tunnel felt smaller. With every passing second, Evan could hear patrols moving again. Voices sharp and angry they were. Getting organized, the alien woman pushed herself up slowly. Pain showed on her face, but her eyes were focused strong. We cannot. Stay here, she said. They will seal the station soon. Evan nodded. He already knew. Follow me, he said. Stay close and stay. Quiet they moved through the tunnel system, old maintenance paths that few beings remembered. Lights flickered. Air smelled of rust and cold metal. Evan led her to a hidden hatch behind a power relay. He had found it years ago while fixing a leak. It opened into an unused hangar. The hangar was dark. Dust floated in the air. And at its center rested an old transport ship. The ship was small and ugly, its hull scarred and patched. Half its systems were offline. This is your escape, she asked. It flies, Evan replied. Most of the time she looked at the ship then. Back at him, it will be enough. As they crossed the hangar, the station shook violently. Emergency sirens howled. Council lockdown initiated. All exits sealed. They ran. Evan reached the ship and slammed the ramp controls. The door opened slowly, too slowly. A patrol squad burst into the hangar, weapons raised there. She is one, shouted the alien woman. Turned, her eyes burned bright. Evan pulled her inside and hit the ramp. Close energy bolts struck the hull. The ship shuddered inside the cockpit. Evan dropped into the pilot seat. His hands moved fast, starting engines, bypassing safeties. The woman collapsed into a chair behind him. You can fly this? She asked. Evan smiled grimly. I fix ships, I fly badly. The engines roared. The ship lifted off just as the hangar shields failed. They blasted through the exit, scraping metal sparks flying outside the station. Council ships were waiting. Lock detected, warning, missile incoming. Evan cursed and slammed the controls. The ship rolled wildly. The alien woman pressed the glowing mark on her chest. The cockpit lights dimmed suddenly. The pursuing ships froze, their weapons shut down, their engines stilled. Evan stared. What did you do? He asked. I reminded them who I am, she replied. The transport jumped into hyperspace. Stars stretched into lines, then vanished. Silence filled the cockpit. Evan laughed, once short and shaky. We lived. Yes, she said, for now. She leaned back, breathing hard. Thank you, human Evan. He glanced at her. You still haven't told me your name? She hesitated, then pulled back her hood. Her skin shimmered like pale silver, her features sharp but gentle, ancient and young at the same time. I am Lyra, voice of binding. Heir of the first council. Evan felt the weight of her words. The galaxy was bigger than he ever imagined. They traveled without speaking for a long time. The ship groaned, but held together. Finally, Evan broke the silence. Where are we going? To a forgotten world, Lyra replied. One erased from council records. There I can speak. To who? To everyone. As they approached the planet, a dark green world wrapped in storms. Lyra grew tense. The council will feel my absence, she said. They will panic, as if summoned by her words. A deep vibration ran through space, far away inside the Grand Council chamber. Ancient systems awakened. A signal pulsed across star maps. Bright and undeniable. Binding authority confirmed status. Alive. Council members froze. That is impossible, one cried. We killed her, another shouted. Alarms blared. Holograms flickered. The binding voice lives, the system repeated. Fear spread through the chamber. Back aboard the transport, Evan felt a strange pressure in his chest. What is happening? He asked. Lyra closed her eyes. The galaxy just remembered me. The ship descended into the storm world. Thick clouds swallowed them. Lightning flashed. They landed in a ruined city, half buried in vines, towers broken but powerful. Symbols older than the council etched into stone. This place is alive, Evan whispered. It remembers law, Lyra said. She stepped out of the ship, placed her hand on the ground. The ruins glowed softly across the galaxy. Leaders felt it. Generals trembled. Prophets screamed. The council issued a silent command. Find her, destroy her before she speaks. Lyra turned to Evan. You should leave, she said. This is no longer your fight. Evan looked at the sky, at the broken world, at the woman who had trusted him. He shook his head. Too late. Above them, unknown to both council fleets, were already moving. The hunt had begun. The storm world was silent after the landing. Wind moved through broken towers. Old stone whispered under the weight of time. Evan stood near the ship, watching the sky. Dark clouds rolled endlessly. Lightning flashed, but no thunder followed. Lyra walked alone into the ruins. her steps slow but steady, as if the world itself guided her. This place was once the heart of balance, she said without turning. Before power replaced law, Evan followed her carefully. The ground beneath his boots glowed faintly. Symbols lit up then faded. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now I speak and the galaxy listens deep inside." The ruins, they entered a wide-open hall, its roof broken, revealing the storm above. A stone platform stood at the center, covered in ancient markings. Lyra stepped onto it. The moment her foot touched the stone, the air changed. Pressure filled the space. Evan felt it in his bones. Far across the galaxy, in the great council chamber, panic spread. Screens showed the same signal, growing stronger. Authority rising beyond control. Fleets scrambled, orders conflicted. Old leaders shouted over each other. "This cannot be allowed," one cried. "If she speaks, we lose everything." "Prepare the purge fleet," another ordered. The council ignored protocol, ignored law. Fear ruled them now. Back on the storm world, Lyra raised her hands. Her voice carried, "Not loud, but absolute. I am Lyra, binding voice of the first law. I live." The ruins responded. Light surged through stone and sky. A beam of soft white energy rose upward, piercing the clouds, traveling faster than light. Evan shielded his eyes. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Calling truth," Lyra replied. "Across the stars, every sentient system received the signal. Not words, but understanding, memories. Long buried, returned, laws forgotten. Awakened, old oaths, stirred on distant worlds. Leaders fell silent. Soldiers lowered weapons. Historians wept. The council chamber shook. Alarms screamed, "This is impossible." One leader whispered, "The law was erased." No, another replied, "We buried it." Their screens showed countless systems responding, acknowledging, submitting. The binding voice cannot be denied. On the storm world, Lyra staggered. The effort drained her. Evan rushed to her side, caught her before she fell. "You are bleeding again," he said. "It is fine," she replied weakly. "Truth costs." Before Evan could answer, the sky changed. Dark shapes broke through the clouds. Ships, dozens of them, then hundreds, council fleets, surrounded the ruins. Their presence heavy and threatening. Evan felt fear grip him. "They found us." Lyra straightened. Despite her pain, "Let them come." A massive ship descended, its hull black and sharp weapons glowing. A projection formed above the platform. The council speaker appeared, tall, cold eyes full of hate. "Lyra, you are declared void. Surrender and face final judgment." Lyra looked up. Calmly, "You have no authority." "We are the council," the speaker shouted. "You are thieves," she replied. Evan watched as ancient symbols flared brighter. The ground trembled. "You rewrote law, declared genocide, and silenced truth. For that you are unbound." The speaker laughed. "You stand alone with one." Human Lyra turned to Evan. "Do you regret helping me?" Evan looked at the fleet, then at her. "No." She smiled faintly. "Then stand." She raised her hand. The ruins answered. Every council ship froze. Weapons shut down. Shields collapsed. Pilots screamed in panic. The council speaker stared in disbelief. "What have you done?" "I restored balance," Lyra said. A new signal spread. Binding command issued. "All council forces stand down." One by one, fleets across the galaxy halted, unable to resist. On the storm world, silence fell. The council speaker dropped to one knee, forced by law older than stars. "This is not over," he hissed. Lyra stepped forward. "It is only beginning." She turned to Evan. "Tomorrow they will bow. Today they fear." Evan felt the weight of history settle around them. Above the ruins, the fleets remained frozen. The galaxy held its breath, and the council knew they had already lost. The frozen council fleet hung above the storm world like dark clouds made of metal engines, silent weapons dead inside the ships. Panic spread. No command worked. No override answered. On the surface, Evan stood beside Lyra. The wind pulled at their clothes. Rain began to fall softly. "They will not stay frozen forever," Evan said. Lyra nodded. "No fear breaks chains, but only law binds them." She placed her hand on the ancient stone again. The light dimmed slightly. The effort was draining her. "We must move," she said. "The council will try another path." Evan helped her back toward the ship. As they reached it, his wrist communicator buzzed. Incoming signal. Human origin. Evan froze. "Human ships rarely came this far," he answered. "This is Evan." A calm human voice replied. "This is Earth's defense command. We have been trying to reach. You do not disconnect." Evan glanced at Lyra. "They know." The voice continued. "We detected council fleet movement toward your location and an unknown authority signal." "Are you safe?" Evan took a breath. No, but we are alive. There was a pause. We are coming. Lyra looked at him sharply. Humans should not intervene. She said, this is dangerous. Evan met her eyes. Humans never mattered to the Council. Maybe that is why we should. Minutes later, space above the storm world shifted again. This time not Council ships. Human ships emerged from Jump Sleek. But fewer, no glowing symbols, no ancient power, just steel and resolve. The Council fleet tried to react, but remained. Locked human commanders opened a wide channel. This system is under human protection. Stand down. The Council speaker appeared again, his face twisted with rage. You have no authority here, human, the human commander answered calmly. Maybe not, but we stand anyway. Lyra watched the exchange in silence. Why would they risk this? She whispered. Evan answered, because we know what it is like to be small and hunted. The Council speaker turned to Lyra. You hide behind primitives. Lyra stepped forward. No, I stand beside them. She raised her voice, not with force but clarity. By first law, those who protect the binding voice are protected. The ancient symbols flared again, but this time softer, controlled across the Council fleet. Systems unlocked, but weapons stayed silent. The Council speaker felt it, authority shifting. This is madness, he spat. This is law, Lyra replied. The human commander watched his screen's data pouring in. Sir, Council ships are unable to target us. The commander nodded. Hold position on the storm world. Lyra swayed. Evan caught her. You cannot keep doing this, he said. She looked at the human ships above, small, defiant. I must, she said, or it all returns to blood. She straightened. Then slowly, deliberately, she turned toward the human ships. Evan felt something strange. Lyra lowered herself and knelt. The storm seemed to pause. I acknowledge humanity, she said. Not as tools, not as pawns, but as equals. The human channel fell silent. Then voices erupted, confused, shocked. The Council speaker screamed, you cannot do this. Lyra looked up at him. I already have a new signal spread, not binding but recognition. Humanity acknowledged under first law. Throughout the galaxies, systems registered the change on distant worlds. Leaders stared at screens, unable to speak for the first time. Humans were written into galactic law. The Council speaker dropped fully to the floor, forced to kneel. This is not possible. Lyra stood tall again, using Evan for support. You feared them because they would not bow, she said. Now you will. The Council chamber far away erupted in chaos, members shouting, some fleeing. The ancient system responded coldly. Council authorities suspended pending judgment on the storm world. The Council fleet slowly retreated, unable to resist, unable to attack. The human ships remained silent. Guardians. Evan looked up at them, heart racing. We just made enemies. Lyra smiled faintly. You already had them. Now you have a voice. She turned away from the sky. Tomorrow they will bow. Today humanity stood. The storm resumed, rain falling harder. History shifted quietly on a forgotten world, and the galaxy would never forget who refused to kneel. The storm world grew quiet again, not peaceful, but waiting. The Council fleet pulled back to the edge of the system, their ships slow and careful like predators forced to retreat. Human ships stayed in position, forming a thin line between the ruins and the stars. Evan sat near the transport ship, watching Lyra rest on the cold stone floor. Her breathing was shallow, her strength nearly gone. She gave too much. Evan thought far more than any one being should above them. The galaxy shook on the capital world of the Council. Alarms echoed endlessly, ancient halls filled with fear. The first law had awakened fully, and it did not forget. One by one, Council members were summoned, not by guards, not by force, but by obligation. They arrived in the grand chamber heads. Lowered steps, slow. The chamber itself had changed. Symbols long sealed glowed again. The floor pulsed with quiet authority. The Council speaker stood alone at the center, his voice no longer strong. This Council is under threat, he declared. We must restore control. No one answered. A deep tone filled the chamber. Binding session initiated. The Council speaker froze. A projection formed above the chamber. Lyra appeared, not weak, not wounded, calm, unbreakable. I am present, she said. The room fell to its knees. Even those who resisted, even those who hated their bodies, obeyed what their minds denied. The speaker trembled. This is impossible. No, Lyra replied. This is overdue. She spoke slowly. Each word await you silenced. Law rewrote truth and planned extinction screens around the chamber, lit up records, exposed orders, revealed lies. Unburied faces drained of color. You feared humanity because they reminded you of what you lost. One council member cried out, "We did what was needed." Lyra looked at them. "You did what was easy?" She raised her hand by first. "Law, the old council is dissolved." A wave of light passed through the chamber. Titles vanished. Authority stripped. The speaker collapsed fully. No longer a ruler, just another being. Judgment is not death. Lyra continued, "It is balance." She paused. "A new council will rise. Built on law, not fear." She turned slightly. "Humanity will stand as witness and equal across the galaxy." The declaration echoed. Evan felt it on the storm world, a strange warmth in his chest. Human ships received the signal, their crews silent, stunned back on the council. Capital, the chamber doors opened. New figures entered. Scholars, judges, observers, not warriors. The old rulers were escorted away, not in chains but in shame. The projection faded on the storm world. Lyra opened her eyes. "It is done," she whispered. Evan knelt beside her. "You did it, no?" she said. "We did." Above them, human ships received a new request. Formal appearance requested. Binding voice. "Present." The human commander answered after a pause. "We will attend." Hours later, a single council vessel descended, unarmed, its shields dim. Lyra stood with effort. Evan supported her. "You do not have to go," he said. She smiled softly. "I must stand so they understand." They boarded the vessel together inside the council chamber. The atmosphere was heavy. As Lyra entered, every being bowed. Not forced, not commanded. Chosen. Evan felt uncomfortable. A human among giants. Lyra noticed. "Stand tall," she said quietly. "Today you represent more than yourself." She faced the chamber. "This human helped me flee when fear ruled. He chose mercy." She turned to Evan. "Because of him, the galaxy breathes." The chamber bowed again, this time toward a human. Evan felt his legs shake. He was no hero, no soldier, just someone who fixed ships. Yet here he stood. The session ended, not with cheers, but with understanding. Outside the chamber, Lyra paused. "Tomorrow begins the hard work," she said. "What about today?" Evan asked. "Today," she replied. The council bowed. Throughout the stars news spread, not of war, not of conquest, but of a human who helped an alien flee, and a council that learned how to kneel. The council chamber slowly emptied. Beings left in silence. Not defeated, but changed. Evan walked beside Lyra through the long halls. His steps echoed. He still felt out of place outside the great windows. Ships moved carefully, no longer in battle lines, but orderly, patient. The galaxy was holding its breath. Lyra paused near a quiet corridor. Light from Lyta. Distant stars reflected on her skin. "It will not be easy," she said. Evan nodded. "Nothing worth fixing ever." As she looked at him, her small smile appeared. "You still think like a technician?" He shrugged. "Things break. Someone has to stay and repair them." News traveled fast, faster than fear. Ever did. Worlds that once prepared for war now waited for guidance. Old enemies opened channels, asking questions instead of issuing threats. Humanity watched from Earth, confused, proud, careful. Human leaders met with the new council, not behind walls, but openly. No throne, no raised platform. Everyone sat at the same level. Lyra refused a crown, refused banners. "Law does not need decoration," she said. Evan stood at the back of the chamber. Watching, he saw something strange. Power without hunger. Days past. The council began to change slowly, painfully. Trade laws, rewritten borders, softened. Old weapons programs shut down. Some resisted, some left, but none could deny the first law. Human ships returned home, not as conquerors, but as equals on Earth. Children watched the sky, no longer afraid. Evan prepared to leave. His work was done, at least here. The transport ship waited in a quiet dock, repaired, refueled. Lyra met him there. "You are returning," she said. "Yes. This life was never mine." She studied him. "The galaxy will remember you." He shook his head. "It will remember what changed, not who turned the bolt." Lyra laughed softly, a sound full of relief. "Before you go," she said, "there is one thing." She reached out, touched his shoulder. "By first law, I release you." "Release me from what?" Evan asked. "From obligation, from consequence." From the weight of my voice, he felt something lift, like a pressure he never knew was there. "You are free to live quietly again," he smiled. "That is all I ever wanted." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Evan boarded the ship. The engines started smooth, reliable, as the ship lifted. Lyra watched. She did not bow, she did not wave. She simply stood as laws balance. Evan jumped into hyperspace back on a small human station far from Council worlds. Evan returned to work. He fixed engines, replaced cables, complained about old tools. No one recognized him, and he liked it that way. But sometimes when he looked at the stars, he felt a quiet pride. The galaxy had changed, and he had helped by choosing mercy over fear far away. Lyra stood before the new council. They asked her what the future would be. She answered simply, fair. She walked alone through ancient halls, no guards, no banners. The binding voice no longer needed to command, because the galaxy had learned to listen. On a distant world, a child looked up at the night sky and dreamed of stars without war. The council had bowed not to power, not to weapons, but to choice, and the galaxy moved forward. Not perfectly, not easily, but together.